What's up, everyone? Pags here at MEI Studio. This week, we're looking at a personal all-time favorite of mine and another in our small diaphragm condenser series. We're looking at the Shure SM81, this time on the mic locker. By the early 1970s, Shure, who was at the top of the dynamic microphone game in the US, decided it was time to reintroduce a microphone technology they had abandoned all the way back in 1938, the condenser microphone. Rather than go full in and head-to-head with companies like Neumann and AKG, they looked at the new technology that had only become commercially available in 1968, the electret condenser. The technology, while conceived in 1920, was further developed and made viable in 1962 by Sessler and West at Bell Labs, and was a prime candidate for the new type of microphone that Shure had in mind. The mic needed to be rugged and perform in all environments and conditions, perfect for the electret. The microphone was to be self-powered by a 9.8-volt battery, not one of these guys, one of these things. Yeah. It could also use that newfangled phantom power, and it was to have an output limiter built into it. Fancy. And it was to put out line level instead of a mic level. Yes, I said line level. The microphone could also be hooked into a dialed-in telephone line where its internal resistance could hold a line open. So, tangent time. Sending audio over telephone lines for purposes other than just talking is a completely wild concept to me. In doing my research on Bill Putnam Sr.'s life for the UA video we did, I found that they used to have dedicated phone lines between studios so that they could pipe in signal from one studio to use in another studio for things like echo chambers and things. Apparently, this type of thing was also used for field reporting. The old Shure M267 mixer had a section in the manual about hooking the mixer up to telephone lines. Maybe that's not so different than digital streaming now. Okay, rant over. So, we have a mic that's putting out line level, has a limiter built in, can use battery or phantom power, can drive a ridiculously long cable run capable of taking out onto a golf course or other remote locations, up to 1.5 kilometers away. Definitely sounds more broadcasty than studio-y. This mic was the SM82. Released in 1975, it was quickly adopted in the broadcast area of audio, but didn't see too much action in the studio. While it could certainly have been used there, and some people actually still do, the need for a breakout phantom box and the line level input are kind of too much trouble. And Shure saw the opportunity to put out a derivative of the mic 3 years later in 1978. Yay, a mic that's the same age as me. Yeah, I'm old. The SM81 was a sleek design that retained its predecessor's slim body but had a smaller head basket. Instead of battery power, phantom power was pretty much adopted at this point, and if you didn't have it available, Shure was happy to sell you a power supply to power a couple of these bad boys. The body featured two controls, a three-way switch for a low roll-off and a less obvious one that was built into the head basket as a rotary control for a 10 dB pad. Clever, but easily changed, which can be a pain in the butt when you're trying to figure out why one mic's level is way below the other one. The capsule of the mic was interchangeable with the Shure R104A Omni capsule, which sadly is no longer made. Apparently they were selling less than 20 of these capsules per year. Perhaps if they made it better known that some of these things existed, like, for instance, the attenuator lock. Yeah, there's a lock for the pad on this mic, and like nobody's heard of it. It's still listed in the manual, but... Okay, so I gotta pause this here for a second. I did reach out to Shure, and they got back to me within a day and let me know that they actually do have these things for sale. They're under $1, and I did order a bunch of them, but they're not slated to arrive here until the day this video comes out. When I do get them, I'm going to make a quick short on how to install it and how it works. I will say, however, though, that out of the 4 that I've purchased of this mic, I have never once seen it inside the mic box or any of the packaging material in the microphone. If anybody out there has one of these and has this little piece and it was included in the box, let me know down in the comments. And now back to the video. Anyway, for a condenser microphone, the sensitivity is kind of low at negative 45 dBV. To put that into perspective, the SM57 is negative 56 dBV and an SM7B is negative 59. So with the pad engaged, you can expect about the same performance as an SM57 or SM58. This means that you're going to have to pump that preamp up a bit when you're using it on softer sources like an acoustic guitar or a piano or flute. But this is made up for by the mic having a decent self-noise of only 16 dBA weighted. This mic can handle loud. The max SPL on these mics are around 136 or 146 dB depending on if you have the pad engaged. I don't think I've ever clipped one of these, even with the loudest of drummers in the smallest of rooms. As I said before, the only capsule you can still get is the cardioid one, and if Shure were to put out a hypercardioid capsule, I probably wouldn't think twice about picking up a pair, but I might be in the minority there, as the cardioid capsule does quite well at rejecting things when placed properly. The sweet spot on this mic is rather small, as is the diaphragm. Unlike the SM57 USA versus anywhere else ever fight we debunked a few videos back, this mic doesn't seem to have that mystique about it that the earlier version sounded better, that whole thing. The mic has an impedance of 150 ohms or an actual impedance of 82 ohms. Why manufacturers do this is beyond me. Stop with the spec foolery. It's a classic mic at this point. People are going to buy it. Just stop. The frequency response runs the full 20 to 20 kilohertz and is impressively flat with a small drop of a few dB below 500 hertz. And speaking of below 500 hertz, many small diaphragm mics are susceptible to distortion in the lower frequencies, but the SM81 handles the bottom end extremely well. Let's take the mic into the studio and see how it holds up against some other SDCs. Let's get to it. All right, I'm going to do a quick demo here of this mic and just show you what's going on with the controls on it and what to expect if you do decide to use this for spoken word or vocals or anything like that. I do have this pop filter on here because the mic does suffer from the same fate that every small diaphragm condenser does. You blow any kind of air into it and it just completely bottoms the mic out. All right, so up on the top here, we have the attenuation control. It goes from 0 dB, and then you swivel it around, and it goes down to negative 10 dB. So this is 0 and negative 10 dB. Important to note, this is not a rotary pot or anything like that. It doesn't go from 0 and then incrementally go up to 10. It's 0 or 10. You just rotate it. Okay, the next control that we have on the mic here is the low cut switch. Right now it's set to flat. The next setting here is the first bass roll-off switch, and this is what the first roll-off sounds like. And this is the second bass roll-off switch. This is what the second bass roll-off sounds like. I'm going to regret doing this, but we'll do a quick plosive test. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper. Yeah, this is just probably just the worst. Simple Simon said something stupid. Simple Simon said something stupid. This is the mic 0 degrees on axis, 6 inches away from my mouth. This is the mic 90 degrees off axis, 6 inches away. This is the mic 180 degrees off axis, and it's a little bit more than 6 inches now because the microphone itself is about 8 inches. And here we are back to 0 again. This is the Shure SM81 small diaphragm condenser mic. This is the Shure SM81 small diaphragm condenser mic. This is the Shure SM81 small diaphragm condenser mic. This is the Shure SM81 small diaphragm condenser mic. As I said in the intro, this is one of, if not my favorite SDC. And by no means am I suggesting that you run out and buy a pair because honestly, they're not cheap. A single mic will set you back about $400 and a pair $800. And they don't offer matching for the mics. And I'll be honest with you, the tolerances for these mics are really good. The two mics I have here are probably a decade apart in manufacturing date, and they work just fine as a stereo pair. I think the discrepancy is about less than a half a dB between the two. So, I don't know. That's a fight for another time. To me, the mics have a full sound with no harshness in the top end at all. I usually pair the mic up with a larger condenser for acoustic recordings, placing the SM81 on the neck side of the guitar and the large diaphragm condenser near the sound hole. This is my go-to mic for hi-hats and ride cymbal. I don't think I've put up anything else in over 15 years for that duty, unless I was testing something for one of these videos. Every session with drums, every time, without fail. But enough about me. What are your thoughts on it? Is anybody else here on Team 81, or am I all alone living in the past? Eventually this mic and I will probably be sitting on a porch yelling for kids to get off our lawn. We're going to have one last round of SDC videos before we move on to something new, and some new videos that aren't just about mics. When we're done, I'm going to put a bonus video out of all the SDCs we had at our disposal for the demos so we can hear all of them together, especially the ones that we didn't get to have dedicated videos for. As always, if you've gotten anything from today's video, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're interested in studio mics and other things audio related, hit that notify button so you'll be notified when we put up a new video. If you have any suggestions for a video or any questions regarding this one, again, please use that comment section or send us a message through our website. I'd love to hear from you. Well, that's it for this time. This is Pags, signing off.